day 2.
Ghost adventure.
Literally. I got on that. Welcome back to Supernatural. My name is Francesca Garcia. I'm your main host and lead investigator of the show. We're here to discuss episode 6. I can't believe we're already here and we made it this far. And we are here to discuss and going back actually to St. Augustine, Florida. So again, St. Augustine, Florida, but this time we are investigating somewhere different. So a different location. We're going to discuss the St. Augustine Lighthouse. And also we're going to discuss the Casablanca Inn. So crew members on this episode was myself and Tamara Summerville, and we went around August of 2016. So we investigated the lighthouse on I think around August 7th, and we stayed at the Casablanca Inn, the haunted Casablanca Inn. So how I want to introduce this episode, it's 2 different locations. So first we're going to focus primarily on the lighthouse, and then we're going to discuss the Casablanca Inn, the haunted bed and breakfast that we stayed at during our. So there's numerous reportings of numerous spirits in the lighthouse. 2 of them were William Russell, which is the lighthouse groundskeeper. He was dressed as blue in a blue jacket and a mayor's cap. He's known to walk up and down the spiral staircase and is known to be like a protective spirit. And he's been there from the 1850s, from my knowledge. Also, another known, lighthouse keeper was Joseph Andrew. And he fell from the top of a scaffolding while he was painting the lighthouse and fell from his death. So those are the known male spirits that people see as a male spirit entity walking the grounds, that they're not sure of who it could be. Also, they smell some type of cigar lingering around, and both of them are known to smoke cigars, or back in those days, they were known to smoke a lot of cigars. The documented spirit is the spirit of Maria Mestres de Dolores, and she was around the 1859 and became the first female U.S. Coast Guard. She became that influence, or what influenced her to become the first female U.S. Coast Guard was the death of her husband. Her husband was Joseph, and it was so tragic for her that she wanted to carry on that legacy and for him to be proud of her. So she took on that role after his death. Also, she was the first Hispanic woman to command federal inshore installation off a lighthouse. So that was pretty cool. And the most documented spirit was from a family or another keeper. I cannot pronounce his name, but I think it's like some type of German name. So I'm not going to embarrass myself and say his name. But anyways, he had a wife and 2 girls. And there was a documented case of the little girls playing out with some friends. And they were off near the lighthouse when a tragedy struck. The rail cart, pretty much, they're playing some favorite game of some ship and pirates or captain or something. And the cart went off track, and apparently the girls fell off the cliff and they were lost at sea. Now, some were recovered. I believe the friends of the daughters were recovered, but not the daughters itself. The 2 daughters did pass away, and they're just lost at sea. So those are the documented cases of the spirits. So those little girls are infamously known at the lighthouse. And they say that they roam around and sometimes play tricks amongst the guests. Moving forward to the Casablanca history. So during its prime days, it kept liquor flowing during Prohibition. And that started from the 1920s to the 1930s. The known famous ghost and spirit that roams that area and dominates that area is Miss Lady Bradshaw. Sorry, Miss Bradshaw. She is also known as the Lantern Lady. And back in her days, she literally run the place. And it was also, in the early days, was a boarding house for children and family refuge for traveling and salesmen. So she was a known businesswoman, Miss Bradshaw, and she helped bootleggers back in the Prohibition days, trying to make some business. Also, was a civilized woman during her time, running this, hotel inn. But at the same time, she was a businesswoman, and she did the bootleg behind the scenes during Prohibition. So she waved this lantern on the roof, and rumor goes that you could see her light as she guided these prohibitioners or bootleggers. And also she fell in love with one of them, and rumor goes that she always waited for him as far as sea, and one day he didn't come home, and her spirits till this day has a lantern, and people have seen her roaming around the rooftops while she waves the lantern around. So that is the history of the Casablanca Inn and the Lighthouse of St. Augustine. Moving forward, we'll discuss our experience. So far, I can say that between Tamara and I, we didn't get too much activity at the Lighthouse. Sure, it was spooky vibes going in, these 219 steps. Definitely going up the steps, I was kind of more scared because they advised us that these little girls play tricks. And I was wearing my Converse at the time, so I was nervous that these girls were gonna tie my shoelace and do something crazy. But I was able to make it up these steps and make them down. So sadly enough, I wasn't able to recover the video. So I think earlier in some of these segments, I discussed that due to the wipeout of the Apple update, what wiped out my Alcatraz videos as well. This was the episode of the Lighthouse that also wiped out the videos, so I don't have the footage of that. But to be honest, nothing was really captured from what I recall. So it wasn't a very active location for us per se, but there's definitely spooky vibes that were felt around the area. If anything in the Lighthouse, I would say what I picked up was more spooky for me, or the eerie feelings I got that was dark or dense for me. Not so much that it was dark that I felt okay, this is creepy. In the Lightkeeper's ground house, or the house itself where they stayed at, down in the basement, there's these spiral black stairs, and down below, in those areas, I felt like something was watching me, there was something there, lingering around. So that's the only thing I would have to say that freaked me out about the Lighthouse. Other than that, not so much. Other than going pitch black steps, up the steps, fearing that some little girl was going to tie my shoes, and that's going to be the demise of me just falling down, and who knows, I'll haunt the freaking Lighthouse. But the point is we didn't get activity. It wasn't very active for us. I'm sure it's active for others, and it's a known haunted location, but for us, I meant to say it was not very active. Moving forward, however, the Casablanca Inn, we did have some activity. Nothing was captured, unfortunately. I did record late at night, but of course I wasn't clever enough back in my time to have a backup battery for my GoPro. So it did cut up at a point while we were sleeping, but I tried to record ourselves while we sleep. Before we get to that, though, I do have to say we did have an experience. So before we even went to the place of the Lighthouse, by the way, shout out to Dark of the Moon Investigation. They're the ones that provided us the event for the Lighthouse to investigate. So if you haven't checked them out, go ahead and check them out. But anyways, moving forward, before we did that event, which was our main focus of this investigation, we were taking a nap. I remember before when we got to check in at the Casablanca Inn, and Tamara and I were just resting in bed. All of a sudden, we both heard a little bell ringing above our ears, and I remember us looking at each other. I didn't say anything, but I waited for her to say something. She's like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "What'd you hear?" I always like for people to say their experience first, because I don't want to have this domino effect of me chiming in on the response. But she said that she heard like an old school bell, like if it's like tea time bell, like just ringing above her ears. And I said I heard the same exact thing, which was like super creepy. And that was in broad daylight. Sure enough, it could be debunked by somebody out in the street, but it was like literally above our heads while we were trying to take a nap. So that was the start of it. After the event, we got home. We got to the bed and breakfast, and I asked her for permission if we can record while we sleep, because that's my most vulnerable state, kind of like what we did in Denver. And she allowed, but again, my camera died because I used it at the Lighthouse as well, which I don't have those videos, but I was able to recover the Casablanca videos, which we'll show in a second just to show I'm not BSing, but I did go over them and no evidence was captured. That was paranormal, but of course, things have to happen afterwards. It's like they know. So while we're sleeping, this was like in the late hours of 4 a.m. I was sleeping, and my worst fear, minding you, is cockroaches and clowns. I hate them, and I'm super scared of them. I can deal with ghosts, demons, name it, but I can't do that. I cannot. That is my worst fear, is clowns and cockroaches, for sure. So anywho, I was sleeping in the middle of the night, and I felt like something was like crawling on my hand. So in my mindset during my sleep, I was like, shit, there's a cockroach on my hand. So I was waking up, freaking out. And then surely enough, maybe I was still waking up in a fog state of mind. Like my mind wasn't there. So I could be like maybe, in my sleep. At the same time, no, I just vividly remember this like black mist, like literally like over my hand. And it wasn't the size of a cockroach. It wasn't the size of a small insect. It was literally the size of like a black mist over my hand. It freaked me out so much that I screamed on the top of my lungs. And I remember waking up Tamara from her sleep. We turned on the lights and we're like, what happened? What happened? And I told him like something touched my hand. I was so startled I couldn't even talk for a couple minutes. And finally I told her what happened. We were so scared that we eventually slept with the lights on. Now, of course, that was not captured on camera. I wish it was, but I was an idiot and wasn't smart enough. Of course, you learn as you go. You become more experienced and skilled in this paranormal field, but I didn't have a backup battery charger, so I can have my camera running all night. But if that was captured, that would have been epic. But it's like almost a form of way, like the spirits know that, they waited for the camera to die in order to do this. So I hope I could have showed that to you, but that was our experience at St. Augustine, part 2. So definitely the Lighthouse wasn't so active for us. Casablanca Inn, however, was lit. All I have to say. Now, before I pass the segment on to Mike Del Coro for the post interviews, I sadly have to say that Tamara Summerville cannot make the post interview due to some tragic events that occur in her life. Now, it's not for me to say what exactly happened to her. That is for her to say. But all I have to say is I respect and I wish her well, and I please keep her in your prayers, because she definitely needs right now is what she needs is prayers. So love you, Tamara, and wish you nothing but the best. We are going to do a special post-interview segment though. Now, however, even though the Lighthouse wasn't very active for myself, it may be very active for some others. So Mike Del Coro, pretty much what we have planned with Mike is that he's going to be interviewing some professional paranormal investigators. I'm not going to say who, so I'm going to leave that to Mike. And he'll be interviewing them on their experience in these locations. So thank you again for watching Supernatural Eye. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Go ahead and like and subscribe, hit that button, and stay tuned. Sorry, cannot talk tonight. Stay tuned for episode 7. We have 2 episodes left of this show, and let's just say episode 7, we are going to be hitting up an out-of-state investigation. We will be hitting up Chicago, Illinois. So yes, that's right. We are going to the Windy City, and one of the most crime high risen cities out there. So you can already know about the paranormal activity that's brewing up there. So stay tuned for that. That will be episode 7. And thank you guys so much for your love and support. I can't thank you enough for keeping Supernatural Eye such a success. So yeah, I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. I cannot believe we're wrapping up this year and we're starting a new year. This is so crazy. But just want to wish your loved ones and family members nothing but the best and happy holidays. Happy, merry, and happy holidays. Now I'm going to pass on this segment, the special post interview with Mike Del Coro. Thank you guys for watching Supernatural Eye. Mwah. Love you guys. Have a good night. Bye, guys.
What's going on, guys? My name is Mike Del Coro, and today we got a cool one for you. We got my co-team members from War Party Paranormal, and we're going to talk about the St. Augustine Lighthouse. And we all investigate together, and we're all good friends. But what's actually cool is that I've never been to the lighthouse. Joe's done an investigation at the lighthouse, and so has Eric, but they did it separately. So it's actually going to be a real interview about what they experienced from me to them, and let's see how it goes. So tonight we got Joe Turino and we got Eric Vanderlaan, and Eric's the team leader for War Party. And we're just going to go from here. We're going to start off and see and ask a few questions and see how they did and if they captured any evidence there. So Joe, you could introduce yourself if you wish.
Joe Turino. I'm a paranormal investigator with War Party Paranormal. I've been on the team for it's actually going to be a year now, but I have been investigating paranormal since 2009 on my own. Always made it a point on family vacations to visit, historical and haunted locations. I've always had that interest stemming from childhood. So, yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Eric, want to introduce yourself and say a little something about yourself?
What's up? My name is Eric Vanderlaan, and I'm the team leader for War Party Paranormal. I helped create the War Party South team, which covers Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and we've been up and running for about 3 years now. We cover all of South Florida, doing events, doing TV, helping people, doing residential cases. And before that, I was with the previous team for a few years. But altogether, I've been doing it for about 11 years.
Yep. You got a lot of experience, that's for sure. All right. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the St. Augustine Lighthouse. And like I said, I was born and raised in Florida. As you can tell by my name, Florida paranormal researcher. I have never visited the St. Augustine Lighthouse. I've been to St. Augustine a couple times, and it's a very active, awesome, a lot of history there. But like I said, I have not specifically done any investigation or been to the St. Augustine Lighthouse. Eric, when do you remember what year it was when you did an investigation there, or when, about how long ago it was?
It must have been actually 2018. I was there the summer of 2018.
Okay, all right, cool. So not that long ago. Joe, when was it that you did in your last investigation there, or your most memorable one, or whatever?
First and only time I've ever been there was actually last year. We took a trip, actually, you and I and my wife, your girlfriend. We took a trip up for New Year's, and before leaving, my wife and I decided to go check out St. Augustine Lighthouse, and I took full advantage and brought my recorders, and was like, all right, I'm going to try to see what I could do here.
Yeah, I was a little bummed. I didn't go, but after that trip, we're pretty beat, and we wanted to head back. So now I'm going to ask each one of you. I'll jump back and forth, but Eric, when you visited the lighthouse, did you feel anything? Like, did you sense anything like might be going on? Did you feel any heavy feelings? Did you feel anything when you were in the location that felt different than normal?
Well, I've been there like 3 times. But the last time I was there, I went there to investigate it, and I mean, you feel the energy. And Joe will agree with me. Like as soon as you're on that property walking around, I mean, there's stuff going around all over the
Absolutely.
place. I mean, even across the street, there's a playground, and there's
Mhm.
stuff happening there. Um, I felt a lot of stuff in the keeper's house, especially down in the basement. That's where things were happening. And of course in the lighthouse as well. And it's actually pretty funny because the first time well, maybe not funny for everybody, but the first time I was there with my family, and my son must have been like 3 or 4 years old. And when you walk into the lighthouse, there's like a little house looking building, and that lighthouse rises above it. As soon as he walked in there, he was like, and like ran right out. And he didn't know anything was going on. He just didn't like it and didn't want to be there. So I thought that was sort of odd.
That's cool. Not cool. Well, for us, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Well, they say
But
kids
like,
can sense more things, you know.
right, right, and that's a whole nother topic on its own, almost.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
but Joe, did you uh, feel anything different when you went there in that location?
It's funny because I know exactly what Eric is talking about. So as you're walking up into the lighthouse, it's basically you walk through the front door, and then there's two rooms to the left and right, and it's a long hallway that leads you up to the stairs of the actual lighthouse. But in those front two rooms, I mean, as soon as you cross the threshold in there, it definitely feels different, I would say. I mean, at that time, I really was fresh into paranormal investigating as far as opening myself up like that. So, but you could definitely feel a little bit different, especially as you walk up, into the actual lighthouse proper. Um, and you just look up, and it's just, this, I don't know, it felt a little overwhelming. Same thing with the keeper's house, just like Eric was saying. Um, Unfortunately, while I went, it was COVID, so they had a little path that you had to take. We couldn't see everything in there, but as soon as you went downstairs into that basement, it was just a whole nother energy down there. And I mean, even my wife felt it. She was like, "It feels kind of weird in here." Um, so yeah, I mean, you could definitely feel it going into that property.
Cool. That's really neat, and it's kind of cool that both of you guys had a very similar experience, and you guys have, and we've never really talked about this location, the three of us together.
No, we haven't.
So this is all fresh and new, which is neat.
And it's cool
Um,
to get a different perspective from someone that's sensitive like Joe, and then someone that's not like me.
yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure.
and like I was saying, I mean, that's even before I like knew I was really like sensitive. Like I could,
Right.
I knew I could walk into certain places and be like, okay, something's a little off here. But now going back, it's like, man, okay, like there really is like a strong presence in that place.
We
You
all
know,
got to get over there. The three of us, we gotta do it. Um, did you guys, as far as any um, evidence that you guys captured when you were there, um, did you guys capture any photographic evidence, any audible evidence, or any like changes, barometric pressure, temperature, static, any REM pod activity, anything like
All
that
of
when
the
you were there?
above.
Really?
All
Wow.
of the above. Yeah, for me, at least the last time I was there, because that's when I brought equipment. And it was funny because it was like your regular ghost tour where they tell you the stories, and here I am, the ghost hunter with my equipment. And when we got like halfway through the tour, they're like, "Okay, you take over," because I've been doing the events for a while, and I
Yeah,
was just doing some crazy shit. I mean, it was like you're gonna see like a photograph that I took there. That was pretty amazing.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're gonna put it up on the screen during when we edit the photo, the video.
Yeah, basically what happened was like before the tour started, I'm going around, taking pictures. Got to be posting stuff on my IG, and
Yeah.
I was taking pictures of the lighthouse, and the lighthouse was locked. No one was in there. They weren't doing tours. They were getting ready for us. And I didn't like really like focus on the picture until later, like after, and I was asking about, was anyone in that lighthouse? But the funny thing is that I got a picture of a lady in the window dressed in like Victorian period outfit. Supposedly there's a lighthouse keeper that was painting the house. He was on the scaffolding and he ended up falling to his death. And they say that his wife haunts the place. And actually she became like the first woman lighthouse keeper in Florida. I believe her name was Marie or Maria. And the famous picture that anyone's ever caught there was the image of the lady standing on top of the railing on top of the lighthouse. So I'm thinking that maybe that's who I caught.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Joe, when you were there, did you take any do any photography or photos or recording or anything like that?
To hundreds of photos. Because it's, first of all, again, we were on vacation when I went. I didn't get to do a full scale investigation. We were on vacation, so but again, I love history. I love coming to these locations, so I took as many photos as I could. And I mean, looking back, I was actually preparing for this and looking back at some of the photos, and I have two photos that are kind of questionable. And they're back to back through series of two photos, and it's me shooting up the lighthouse, like standing in the middle and shooting up. And the first photo shows nothing. Second photo kind of looks like if somebody is poking over. At the time we were there, again, it was COVID. They were not allowing multiple people in the lighthouse. So it was it's your turn, go in, check it out, go up, walk around the top, take some photos, come back down so the next group could go.
That's
You
even
only have
better.
a few moments, right?
So
So it's an interesting photo. I did also manage, because it was the same thing going on in the lighthouse keepers on the main floor. When you walk into the house on the left, there's like a dining room area, and I did capture an EVP there. Unfortunately, it's been a year and I don't have that file anymore. I would have loved to have shared that, but I played it back, and both my wife and I were able to hear a response to it. So the
so
questions I was asking, basic stuff.
okay, all right, Eric. When you were there, did you happen to run any EVP sessions, electronic voice phenomenon? That's where if you guys are somebody that's watching and you're unfamiliar with what that is, we use recorders, digital recorders. We'll ask questions and leave the recorder out, and then we'll play it back and see if we can capture any voices on it that weren't there in the building or present. And that's what we're discussing right now. So, Eric, when you were there, did you happen to capture any electronic voice phenomenon?
Yeah, I got a few. This was pre DR60. This is when I was using my ST25 all the time. And I got a pretty cool EVP in the basement. I don't remember the lighthouse keeper's name, but I asked so-and-so, are you here? And it said, it's me, like clear as day. Like I had a group of people with me and they were freaking out.
Peter, are you here with us?
And then the second one I got, there was a guy there that was playing like old time music as a trigger object. And I captured someone saying, it's me.
No.
It was like a class A, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's creepy, huh?
And that's not a believer, just so you know. He's not.
Wow. What location of the lighthouse was that?
Say that again.
The lighthouse in the lighthouse keeper's quarters.
Lighthouse keeper's quarters. And Joe, where was yours again?
Mine was also in the lighthouse keeper's quarters, but on the main floor.
How about that?
There's a main floor, a second floor, but then there's also a basement.
So that's actually pretty intriguing that you guys both captured a similar type EVP in around the same location. Very, very interesting.
And it's cool
now,
because we're talking about this for the first time. So
yeah, no, like I said, that's awesome. We've never talked about this. I've never been there, and we're actually seeing some stuff line up together that we might not have discovered if it wasn't for Franny Show's supernatural eye bringing us together to do this.
Absolutely.
So as far as so we talked about visual, we talked about audible. Any temperature changes that you guys felt or seen with a meter or anything of that nature, any atmospheric changes when you guys were there?
Well, yeah,
Nothing.
when I was in the basement, that's what triggered me to do an EVP session, is because I was getting EMF hits, like almost those type of EMF hits where that you get them on cue, like you tell them to touch it and it goes off. So
Almost where it's like an intelligent response.
yeah, so there was like a group of people, and I gave them a couple of K2s down in the basement, and they, they're like, Eric, come over here. These meters are going off. So that's when I did the EVP session, asking about the lighthouse keeper, and I got, it's me. So that was pretty amazing. And just before that, the really cool thing was there was a lady that came up to me and she's like, I just got touched and I'm getting out of here. So that was pretty interesting.
Heck yeah. And you know what? Just for anybody that's watching, EMF meter K2 is electromagnetic field, which is caused by, it can be caused by electronics, it can be caused naturally, but when you see something like that and there's not wiring or something around and it's reacting in an intelligent manner that cannot be described, that is definitely a paranormal. It's unexplained. And so what my question to you was, where they had the K2 meters or EMF meters, was there any wiring in this basement? I've never been there, so I don't know if they have power in this building or they don't, or anything of that nature.
Well, we did. When I was walking around, I was just like, before I passed out the K2 meters, I was just walking around on my own doing a sweep, trying to see if I can find anything that was emitting high EMF, which I didn't. I did tell people that, your cell phones can set that off. And I remember at the time I was telling them to put it in airplane mode, and I believe everyone did. So that's why I thought it was sort of unusual. And then when they singled me to come over to show me that it was going off, and I did the EVP session, it was like almost confirmation.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely not something that you get to see every day. So that's really cool. Joe, you said you kind of stopped there, last minute thing on vacation, weren't really set up to do a full investigation or anything like that, but did you have any equipment with you or any meters or anything?
All I had with me was my recorder. Again, we were packed up. We were about to hit the road, and we're like, let's go check the lighthouse last minute. And
That's not like you not to have your millimeter.
Yeah, right. It's funny because I had it with me in my bag because we had done the jail the night before or 2 nights before, so I had my gear with me, but it was already packed away and like down in the back, and I was like, all right, and that's something I always at least have a recorder with me when I go to some of these places. So at least I had my ST25 with me, and I was lucky to catch that EVP there.
So what you just said, you were using the same recorder actually Eric said he was using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
using
that's
the
also more confirmation. I guess you could almost say that their things are lining up. Same recorder, same general area, two different people, two different times. So that's definitely pretty intriguing. So why don't we just kind of free for all? Eric, why don't you tell me like the coolest thing or the most active or anything that you remember from when you were there to kind of wrap it up?
Definitely in the basement, because that's when people were experiencing stuff. Getting the EVPs, getting the EMF hits. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough time, because you don't have enough time. I believe it was like 4 hours to spend everywhere, because I wanted to go like all over the grounds. Like there's even a wooded area where I got some EVPs that I couldn't make out, and the EMF hits, and there's no electricity out there. And they say there's little, like right when you walk out of the gift shop, there's like a little trail, and you can go into like this wooded area. And they say that that's haunted. So just getting like hits off my millimeter on like in high EMF, and the millimeter works isn't as sensitive as the K2 meter. And then just getting like EVPs, there weren't ones that I can make out, but there was something there. So I was just trying to take advantage, and fortunately I didn't spend enough time in the Lighthouse, but at least I did get one EVP. And with the ST25, it's not like a DR60. If you get an EVP, it's like there's definitely something going on.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree. Joe, what was if you were gonna like wrap it up and sum it up, what would be like probably the coolest and most rememberable part of your visit?
I would say honestly just getting to the top, and it's actually weird because it brought me back to like a memory. Like I remember climbing the lighthouse, and when you get, I don't know if it's halfway or about 3/4 of the way up, I don't remember off there's a weird, because there's several landings basically, and they have little displays up, as you're going up the lighthouse. But there was just one point, it was about halfway, 3/4 of the way up, and I mean, I'm a big guy, climbing this big lighthouse, you do get tired at some points, you got to take a little break, but it wasn't a tired feeling. It was just another it was like an odd feeling there that I remember. And then, as soon as we kept going, it went away. It was similar to the feelings I had when I walked into the lighthouse, and then the first two little rooms on the sides, when you first walk in. There's definitely something odd going on there.
So real
Especially
quick, I don't want
those
to cut you off. I just want to like ask, so as you were going through different levels of this lighthouse, you were feeling normal, and then you would come into an area where you kind of felt something odd, something off, something heavy, and then it would kind of dissipate, and you would move, and then you'd like as you were entering different areas of the lighthouse.
Right. As you're going up the lighthouse, there's it goes in a spiral staircase around the lighthouse, and this is a very big, wide lighthouse. So you're going up. There's actually sections that have landings that you could take a break, you could stop, and it allows people to keep going. And then the lighthouse keepers, back then they had to do everything as like a pulley system back in the day to get, before it was all electric. So they would, go up there, and they had little different areas to wait. And I remember as we got maybe about 3/4 of the way up, we stopped at one of the landings to read one of the displays, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just an odd, heavy feeling at one point. And then I just remember that's kind of like odd, and then we just
I
kept
got a
going up.
question for you, Joe.
Yeah.
That landing, is that where the window is?
Yes, it's the
That's
window
where I got
landing.
the photo of the lady. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
that's freaking wild.
Yeah, right. You've seen the
That's
picture,
freaking,
right?
yeah, I saw the picture. I saw the picture recently. That's I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Huh.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And then, ghost event, I mean, not ghost adventures, ghost hunters, when they first went to that St. Augustine Lighthouse, they got that video of the guy looking over the rail. That's pretty
Over the
impressive.
railing.
And I don't think they faked that. I think that was pretty real. I can like totally see that happening.
Isn't that what you said you kind of experienced, Joe? With
It
your
looks
photo?
similar. It looks similar to the photo that I have. I gotta dig it up. I have it on one of my files saved somewhere. I gotta find it, but
Yeah, we'll have
it,
to
like,
put that,
you
insert
can't
that up on the screen right now.
yeah. It looks. It's not like if it's somebody poking their head up, but you could definitely make out like a head, like up there. And again, at that point, it was COVID. They were not allowing multiple people inside at a time.
All
Even
right,
inside
so
the keeper's house.
basically what I'm getting from all this is that War Party needs to head up to St. Augustine soon and set up some full spectrum cameras and
Yeah.
pull out some DR60s and some real REM pods and set up and maybe some of our experimental equipment that we're working on and go to town. That's what it sounds like.
We need to get our asses
Absolutely.
over there in a hurry.
Looks like maybe we'll make that the next event. But so that's pretty darn interesting stuff. And it's really cool to hear it and discover it right here as we're recording and have this kind of conversation and come to these conclusions. It's really neat. So there's been multiple photos of full body apparitions. And we all know how hard it is to capture anything paranormal via photo or video. It's very, very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare. Audio happens a lot more. So for both of you guys to capture something that's questionable there and all the other reports of that, I would say that's an extremely active location for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up. And if you want to find me or see any of my YouTube videos, you can check it out at FLA, Florida, Paranormal Researcher. That's where you'll find me on any of my social media. Joe, why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find you?
You can find me at Joe Hunts Ghosts. That's on pretty much any social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube as well. And Mike is slowly trying to convince me to jump on the TikTok bandwagon. So maybe that'll be coming. Maybe that'll be coming soon, especially now that I got a little bump up on my motivation to edit some more videos. So we'll see what happens on that.
Yeah, Joe, you just got a new computer, and so did I. So that's pretty cool, Eric. What is the way people can contact you or see your content?
I'm just trying to chase you down. But yeah, I'm just like you. I'm Ghost Hunter South Florida is me. A lot of my stuff I put on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. You can see me on YouTube. I got my videos there. I got Facebook, TikTok, and then of course we got the team War Party Paranormal. We just started a YouTube page, so keep an eye out for that. And we're on Instagram and Facebook. And then we have Ghostly Experiences, our Paranormal Boot Camp, and that's on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yeah, we're pretty busy. We're a pretty active team. You definitely want to check out warparty.com and us on Facebook. And we post a lot of times when we're having a lot of our upcoming events. We hold events open to the public where you can come out and interact and meet us and do an investigation with us. Or if you are having paranormal problems or any issues, things of that nature, you can reach out to us too. And we're here to help. Thank you guys, and have a good night. Say bye, guys.
Peace.
Walking, waiting, alone without a care, hoping and hating the things that I can't bear. Did you think